All right, what's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday, 11:45 a.m. I want to do a mid-afternoon update because I know everybody's looking at price action. I know y'all are kind of curious what's going on, and I know people might be freaking out, but let's put things in context. All right, so first things first, this morning when I did the video, I talked about price, holding up right around this S1 level, this August monthly open, and it took along right around 11.4, I think 11,420 or something. I think, so far, obviously price is bleeding down further, but if we dig into the smaller time frames and if we start doing some deeper analysis, whether it's the order book data, the footprint data, we'll see that first thing, yesterday, okay, right around 12,000, all right, this area right here, you could have seen these walls right up here, okay? Now, again, this is all in retrospect, and we can make the argument that, okay, well, why didn't, we look at these walls and sell, all this stuff. When you look back, you can always make the right decisions seemingly when you look back on things, right? But the fact of the matter is, when we were up here in the market, I think the signs of deterioration didn't really come in till right around this candle right here, like this candle starting to break down. And I think at this point, I mean, I was definitely not watching the market. I think this was like the nighttime. So, unless you were here in the middle of the night watching this, you could have sold or maybe even shorted. Now, the argument that I made yesterday evening and this morning is, if you're shorting, you could just place your stop right above here, and you should be aiming for this pivot or this September monthly open. And I made a joke about this yesterday on my Twitter feed. As you can see, I stated that let me see here, the DXY was actually, starting to tick up yesterday right here. And I saw gold actually selling off a little bit, okay? Let me see here. So gold had, on the 15-minute time frame, I think it's a little bit more visible, gold was actually coming down like this, okay? So it's just dumping right here. And in this area, this is where Bitcoin was picking up. So I just made it kind of like a joke, but in a sense, there was a hint of truth to it, which was gold and silver were selling off right at the same time DXY was ticking higher. Crypto ticked up higher to meet new resistance. So, I got the feeling that there might be a rug pull coming in the market. And the rug pull for ETH, I expected a decent sized drop because ETH falls harder. So for example, ETH, I stated that ETH will probably, drop to about 450 or so. You can see ETH dropped all the way to about 425. So pretty deep drop. Bitcoin, I stated that, I'd probably expect 11.6 because that's really where the September open was, and then the pivot right here, right? But obviously, sell-offs and blow-off tops and, movements to the upside, that they're always going to exceed your expectations, right? Sell-offs are always violent, and, movements to the upside are always going to really surprise you. And so this movement right here really should surprise anyone because for the most part, if we keep things in context, number one, we're coming back towards the S1 level right here. And I think, number two, if we're kind of looking at this movement over here, I'd stated that, from this key high, or I'm sorry, this key low that we put in, this higher low, this higher low, higher low, higher low right there, higher low, and another higher low. And so for now, I think things are okay. Even if, let's just say, price falls down here, there's going to be ridiculous buying activity, in my opinion, right around this area, between 11,000 and probably like 10,950, or 10,900, that $150 range. So there's not a whole lot that we can do right now with the price action other than to look at this as, well, if you're looking for a pullback, you got it. This part right here, I took a small long, like I stated earlier, but I'm not going to add to my long unless I see a base being created in this area, okay? Because my stop is 10,500, but I'm not going to keep adding to a losing position on the way down, especially if, you know, the way down has a cushion from where I added, which is 11.4, all the way down to, let's just say, 10.7 or 10.6. That's almost a, you know, $600 to $800 movement down. And so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep my position as is. If I see a base being created and then price pops up again, let's just say price gets to, you know, the S2 around 10,800, and then it starts popping back up to 11,000, then I would consider adding, you know. So, you know, as I look at price action, it's just one of those days, you know. I see gold selling off, and so I'm really not surprised that Bitcoin is too, and you shouldn't be either. I think the thing about gold right now, which kind of worries me, is we have this kind of big, you know, triangle being created, this descending triangle. So this is kind of interesting, you know. Whoops, that kind of descending triangle, right? You know, if you keep hammering at the support right here, which is 1900 flat, you're probably going to break it. And if you break it, well, shit, you know, you're probably going to break down much further down here. So, you know, for Bitcoin to hold up, well, you need gold to hold up, you need silver to hold up, and you need equities to keep ticking up higher. The equity markets are actually doing just fine, but a little bit of a pullback. And, you know, I think big tech, like, let me see how Apple's doing. Yeah, so Apple sold off a good amount. Let me see. Amazon, I think, also sold off. I think Tesla sold off too. So yeah, you can see Amazon sold off. Tesla sold off, as you can see. I mean, pretty epic sell-offs across the board. So it should be no surprise that Bitcoin is selling off too. You know, I'm sure that the large question is that, well, you know, does this mean that this is the top? Well, no one really knows. You know, that's unfortunately just how markets function and markets work. As far as we know, like I've stated numerous times, is this is our large range. And so anything below this range, you know, break of 10.5, well, then you're probably headed much lower, and we might have a deeper correction, possibly even, you know, the next leg of the bear market, if you will. But I don't know. For now, it's hard to speculate, right? We've seen pretty epic sell-offs get bought up, and you know, the Fed hasn't really changed their policy. The dollar hasn't ticked up that hard, and so I think it's okay for now to not assume, but rather be cautiously bullish, stating that, well, you know, I think this is a good dip buying opportunity. You know, let me see XO right here. You know, the one thing I can see on XO is obviously from here down, right? So this is, let's go back to the 4 hour. So this candle down from this, I think this candle down, or actually this candle down all the way, we saw increasing negative delta. So you can see negative delta of 19 million, 75, and then a big drop to negative 117. And that actually wiped out a bunch of open interest too, meaning a whole lot of long positions got wiped out, way the heck from the high of 785 million to where we are right now, which is 729 million. Actually, you know, I thought that would be much lower, but I guess not. Much lower, I guess much higher in a sense. I thought, you know, open interest would get wiped out like 200 million or something. But I think the fact of the matter is, you know, even in this area, one could make the argument that, yes, there's, you know, heavy selling happening, but we haven't had the kind of epic wipeouts in the market where longs are just completely off sides. You know, even if we look at, say, Trading Light, you know, maybe there's some support right here. I guess it's not a whole lot. It's very possible that, you know, from here we break down further. But let's check out, you know, say other exchanges, right? Let's check out Bitstamp if there's any support there. Okay, so nothing special here. No walls stacked up. Binance. Let's check out Binance. BTC. Nope, not a big support. Maybe down here around 11,000 flat. Let's check out Coinbase. Nope. Okay, so things seem relatively empty below. So we can make the argument technically that we might actually break down further, because I'm not really seeing any big support. Like, not a single exchange is out there putting up massive walls, of cluster of support. Like, for example, when we let me see if I can make a proper argument, right? So for example, like down here, when we were starting to move back up, you can see, wall of support, that helped propel price up. Or up here, you want to see clusters of resistance to hold price down. We're not really seeing anything like that below us. So, it's possible that maybe we do start breaking down a little bit more. But I think it's all, relative to this large range. And when we look at this large range, I think it actually provides unique opportunities for things like, say, ETH. You might be able to buy Ethereum back at, I don't know, maybe 420, 400 flat. Link, which, again, I've been waiting on Link for like weeks now. I mean, since basically the beginning of August or middle of August over here, I stated that Link can still probably get back to $12 and $10. So if it takes its liquidity below this area and below this area, well, then that fulfills, my whole theory about long liquidity sitting below this area. And so I actually like the fact that there is so much gap, if you will, so much space left right here and right here in things like Link and other assets where BTC selling off maybe, say, another $100, $200 would possibly, drop Link to these levels. And so when the whole market as a whole, or I guess the market as a whole, takes out liquidity, the long liquidity from all these different assets, and it's not just BTC, that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable that, okay, it's not just a one-off, sell-off in Bitcoin and everything else is going up. I feel much better when the entire market sells off, because the entire market is taking out a whole bunch of longs, a whole bunch of, FOMO longs or euphoria that's coming in. And so that's kind of what you want, okay? And so it's possible that maybe, around this area, we chop around here, I don't know, maybe for a couple days, maybe, another week or two, and then maybe make our way back up. But again, still all well within range. We're going to keep an eye on, things like the pivot right here, the S1, and, maybe even S2 if we really happen to drop down that far. Okay. So anyway, I mean, the point is, we're kind of seeing a market-wide sell-off. This is actually kind of interesting. I didn't think Tesla dropped this much, but damn, the last 2 days, Tesla's down, almost dropped 20%, but currently down about 12%. So these kinds of sell-offs, in traditional markets are often signs where you may be able to buy the dip, if you will, right? Because a 10 to 15% sell-off in assets like Tesla or anything like Apple or high growth, these are seen as very good signs to potentially buy. And so if that's the case, and say, risk assets like Tesla and high growth and equities start getting bought back up, well, then I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin, does the same thing. All right, let me check out GBTC real quick, and then we'll wrap it up here. So GBTC didn't really have a whole lot of selling, in the last 2 to 3 days, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, even GBTC kind of looks like a big head and shoulders pattern, which is, another thing that I spoke about earlier is, it's possible that, this is your big head and shoulders pattern developing. But again, you got to clear this little neckline area to then validate that head and shoulders and then start breaking down further. All right. And last thing, CME, let's check it. Okay, so CME is a little bit different. CME, we definitely see heavy selling coming. So this is never really good because the futures market is massive and you don't really want to see big kind of sellers step in and sell off this much. So again, it's kind of a wait and see kind of day. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes by today's end and through the week. But I'm gonna keep an eye on the market. I'll let y'all know if I see any signs of clear deterioration. But for now, I think I made my case clear. I'm gonna be looking for pullbacks and buyback opportunities. That's it, guys. Take care. Cheers.